Welcome back to the Small Business Show, where you get to hear the journey, find the challenge, and create solutions. I'm your host, Lori Brooks, and I thank you so much for joining me today. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. This week, I have the pleasure of chatting with Lisa Heintzelman, president of Illumination Consulting. With a career rooted in education and an unwavering passion for lifelong learning, Lisa has dedicated herself to helping individuals and businesses achieve optimal success through efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity. From being named Pennsylvania's first class teacher of the year to founding her consulting firm in 2000, Lisa's journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and continuous improvement. Join us as we explore her story, insights, and invaluable advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. Lisa, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to dive into your entrepreneurial journey, but I want to rewind the clock just a bit. In fact, I want to go back even further because, from what I understand, you were quite the independent child. So, I would love to know way back when you were telling mommy that you could do it all by yourself. What did you think life was going to be like when you grew up? What was that vision for you?
Yes, and the interesting thing about it is I said I will do it my known self. I couldn't even say it correctly. I knew what I was sharing, but I didn't even have the specific, linguistic vocabulary for it. And, it was so interesting because my mom and dad told me I could do, be anything. And my mom specifically didn't necessarily come to the table with self-esteem and confidence, yet she brought that out in me and my brother and anybody else around her. And that was very fascinating to me that not necessarily having it yourself, you can bring it out in others. And so I just grew up with all kinds of opportunities to think and problem solve and figure things out and break things and fix things and whatever those were. And that really set the tone for my entrepreneurial journey.
I absolutely love how you shared how your parents truly were that blossoming inspiration. And even though, as you said, your mom didn't realistically have the self-confidence, she was able to foster it in the two of you. And the ability to do that in and of itself is so, so special. And it's funny, on the show, often I have the ability and opportunity to help people reflect on their journeys. But Lisa, you just actually made me reflect on a piece of mine. And the fact that my parents used to always play the what if game with us as children. So, sparking those thoughts for us is how it is we would go about solving a scenario if it presented itself. And it's funny how your parents do spark those moments for you. So, thank you for bringing that own thought back to my own journey. That's not something anybody else has done throughout the course of this show. And I've been doing this for years. So kudos to you, Lisa. So,
Thank you.
of course. So, as you were growing up, I'd love to know what did you see as being your entrance into the entrepreneurial world? At what age do you feel like you really decided, okay, I'm working for me? What did that look like for you?
So as I was growing up, some of the things that I had in mind was that I was going to be a mom. And so I certainly got to have that as part of my journey. And early on, I with being wanting to be a mom and having an interest in children, I started to babysit. So early on at that, 12-year-old time, I started to babysit and I collected the dollars that I received in a little yellow butter dish and kept that in my headboard. Once that got to be $600, my mom and dad took me to the bank and I started my passport savings account back in the day. And so there it was that I'm out there doing and pursuing my passion. I'm bringing value to the children and the families that I was serving. They were with rewarding me with dollars. And then it was time to take those dollars to invest them. And so I started other work early on as well. I worked at the concession stand of our pool in the summertime,
Mm,
which was when all of my friends were having fun, then there I was working at the pool. So I continued in my journey in with children through early childhood. That once when I was in school, I didn't understand why things didn't work for me the way that I thought it was, that I thought it should, and that I
mhm,
wasn't learning in the way that I thought I should when I was excited about figuring things out. So I decided I'm going to go to school and I'm going to figure out about education. So I started to study early childhood education, and I learned all the things that didn't necessarily happen for me in early childhood. And I really noticed the disconnect between education, workforce, leadership, business, and entrepreneurship. And I
mm,
thought I need to bridge that gap. So I started it first by supporting educators in their journey, through working with children and 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 offering quality early childhood programs. And then I started to work with adults who were becoming leaders in organizations. And with that, I wanted and needed to craft my own reality, and I wanted to be available for my children. So I quit prior jobs that I had more than once because I wasn't going to be able to be home with my children after school. And then another time I wasn't going to be able to go to my daughter's field hockey games.
mm,
So early on, I decided I need to create my reality. I need to have my own hours. And I had all this value that I wanted to bring to it, to business owners and professionals in and teams and organizations. So that really launched why I'm doing what I'm doing. I launched Illuminations Consulting in 2000. So I just celebrated my 24th year in April of this year.
congratulations. That is absolutely beautiful. I love how you took the fact that you were struggling with understand how to understand what was going on around you and really turn that into a resolve for the future. You recognize there was a disconnect here and it didn't make sense why that disconnect was so great. And you went back to the root of where it started. You didn't just say, okay, adults need leadership assistance. You really went back and said, where was it that I missed out on this sort of information? Where was it in my journey that I could have been implemented to help me have moved in a different direction or help others move in those directions? And really took the time to and lay that program out and put it into school systems and then move forward with the leadership with adults. So I love that you took that direction and I thank you for sharing that with us. What do you feel like were some of the hiccups as you began such a massive endeavor? Once you decided, okay, I know that I need to start at the root cause and bring this to early childhood education. What do you feel like were some of the hiccups of birthing that portion of the dream and the vision?
Yes, yes. And one of the things is there are so many people that move from whatever their career or craft or specialty is, and then they decide to launch their business. So you're great at what you do, and you already had your customers or your clients or your employees or whoever you were bringing those services to. The difference in planning, developing, and growing your business is that you have to develop your strategy and you have to learn and understand business marketing and sales to be able to bring the value to whoever it is that you are serving. And that's one of the disconnects for business owners today. So you were an HR professional, now you want to be an HR consultant. Your employees were your clients who were given to you. And so now you need to go find your clients, which is a whole different ballgame.
Hmm.
I knew that there were a lot of best practices that were out there for business development, leadership development
Hmm.
overall. And I was fortunate to find an organization called Trusted Advisors Network that had best practices and content that I could use. And one of my challenges was when I went there, I didn't know that they had the content and a program, if you will, that was called Rising Stars, and it was for youth leadership development. I
Mm.
was like, oh my goodness, while I was thinking about that I was going to what was wanting to work with adults, here was this at my fingertips to with again best practices and content for
Hmm.
youth. So I was like, I came from education. I know everybody in education, and I know all of these organizations that are nonprofits that are serving youth. So I made my list. I started making phone calls. I was sending emails, and I was telling all these people, guess what? I'm doing this. So let's get this into your program or whatever. Well, wait a minute. Nobody understood why I was doing what I was doing and what I'm talking about. And there wasn't funding available
Hmm.
and buy in necessarily for that.
Hmm.
And I was like, really? What? And that's because I didn't know what I didn't know about coming to the table with my brand, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and then to first have a one on one with any of those individuals to discover wants and needs and learn about who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, and then having asking the right questions that related to youth and leadership and what they're doing and all of those things that they would then say, how can you help me? What are next steps? And then I could review my notes from our
Hmm.
meeting, come back and share. Here's what I heard your priorities are. Here's what I understand your focus and goal areas to be. This is why and how we would work together. And this is the investment to do that. And here's my process and capability statement. And so it was really interesting and sad, at the same time that it wasn't just like, oh, buy my program. And so today, part of my work that I'm doing is really helping service and relationship based entrepreneurs and business owners to
Hmm.
stay consultative in their practice and lead with the problems that they solve and the value that they bring rather than turning transactional with their products and services and programs and packages and pricing that leaves way too much opportunity and dollars on the table.
I absolutely love that. You really took the time to pay attention to where you were with the package that you had. You recognized, okay, this isn't working in this area. You saw that there were hiccups, there were headaches that you were dealing with because there was an error in the way that the funnel that you had set up was operating. And once you took a step back to really look at that piece, you were able to then make the adjustments and pivot to really be able to then start to fill those pieces in with the right sales language, with the right way that you were going about building those relationships and developing the prospects themselves. So I love that you really made it clear as to the evolution of where those hiccups were and how you overcame them. I thank you. Thank you. I'd love for you to share all about Illuminations Consulting, where you are with your practice today. Please share.
Sure. So through Illuminations Consulting as a business sales and leadership coach, I am investing my time and energy in empowering individuals, teams, and organizations to be successful. So I'm working with service-based, relationship-based entrepreneurs and business owners who are passionate about what they do, great at their craft and their specialty, and oftentimes need to figure out all things business, marketing, and sales. So
Mm.
I really support you in developing a strategy and competitive edge to think about the problems that you solve, the value that you bring, and why do business with you. too many times we say to strategy because we don't know that we could, that we should, that we might develop a strategy that drives our planning, branding, marketing, sales,
Mhm.
and why and how we're working not only in but on our business. And as I just said earlier, I have a real focus in keeping service and relationship based entrepreneurs and business owners consultative in their practice, leading with the problems that they solve and the value that they bring, rather than turning transactional with products and services that leave way too much opportunity and dollars on the table. We have to realize that people are not buying the shovel. What they really want is the whole. So, how are we leading in that way to bring value to the individuals, families, businesses, teams, communities that we serve?
I absolutely adore you. Like I said, you're a woman after my own heart. You are pulling people out of what I call wino mode, where they're working in and not on their business, and moving
Right.
them into what I call boss mode, where they have the ability to build out operations to support their success. So definitely, I adore what it is you're doing for business owners. It's 100% necessary, and it's something that I feel like until more business owners take that step back, they don't have that breathing space. That's why people feel work life balance is so elusive. It's because they're not taking the time to take the step back to figure out how to make that work life balance a real possibility. So
Yeah.
thank you for everything that you're doing. I absolutely adore it. So
Yes. And the problem is they don't know what they don't know.
right, right.
And so, that's really one of the big deal kinds of things about that. They don't know that they
Hmm.
could, that they should, that they might, and they don't know those resources and tools are out there to support them.
Exactly. And hopefully that's what this show is changing. That's really what we're hoping we can highlight is what the entrepreneurial journey truly looks like, what those headaches and hiccups might actually be, and what those tools and tech might be that actually are helping people maneuver through those moments. So I truly appreciate you bringing those to the table. If in fact you had the ability to use a time machine and go back, say 30 years and tell yourself just one thing, what do you feel like that would have been?
Well, as you heard me say, my journey was an interesting and a powerful kind of one. And so I have embraced my journey, and sure there's, ups and downs and all of those in those kinds of things. I've always been curious and question everything. And so I really would share a tip more so about be a lifelong learner and listen to and take in what you're hearing out there without having some kind of bright shiny object syndrome of, oh, now this is the next best thing, oh, now we should do this, oh, now we should do this, so that we when we think about the best practices that we're hearing and any of the information that we're getting, how are we connecting them to our why and our purpose,
Hmm.
and how are we celebrating our strengths related to that? How are we identifying areas for growth? How are we considering ideas to develop? And how are we breaking habits that are no longer efficient, effective, and productive? We can't keep taking in these best practices that we're hearing and stack them up here, because we need to integrate them into what we're doing. And like I
Hmm.
said before, we sometimes need to stop doing something that
Hmm.
is no longer efficient, effective, and productive.
Definitely, 100%. In fact, what I generally tell people is to use the 4D strategy. So we start off by delete, delegate, delay, or dominate. One of the four, figure it out. But
Yeah.
there's a
Yes.
lot that goes into that first category of delete. More often
Yes.
than not, when you go through things with people, you're like, Yeah, no, that's not efficient. There's no need for it whatsoever. But it's not even something that you have to say. It's the ability to recognize it once somebody takes that step back and truly looks at the processes that they're using in the first place. So, yeah, definitely. There's a lot that goes into the delete category. Much agreed. So,
Yes, yes.
if you had a magic wand, and by the way, I happen to love your stars in the background because I feel like there's this magic wand just waving away in the background behind you. If you had a magic wand to wave and could change anything at all in operations and procedures or even in consulting, what do you feel like you would change if you had that magic wand and could change anything?
Well, I wish that business owners knew that they needed me.
I
And
love it.
and
Yes.
and that's not about me.
No.
That's about the whole proactivity of
Hmm.
this entrepreneurial journey. I'm
Hmm.
fascinated about why people are doing what they're doing,
Mm.
and I want to know their stories and their power and the problems they're solving and the value that they're bringing and their passion and their purpose and all of that. And so the problem is we continue to struggle as we go along, again, as I
Hmm.
said before, because we don't know what we don't know. And
Hmm.
so my magic wand would be around that that somehow everybody knows they should be reaching out to someone else. And I don't mean it only to myself, that to the individuals who are the experts and the
Hmm.
specialists and the craft, that we're delegating, one of your D words, that we're delegating out to
Hmm.
others things that are not related to our genius and that other
Yes.
people should be doing. Those are the two big deals of my magic wand.
We definitely need to get you a magic wand and get it going. So, hopefully, this episode can serve as a partial magic wand and we can start getting the word out and people can really start to understand why. Why they should be looking to the experts and really looking for that assistance so that somebody can help pull them out of wino mode. Because a lot of people don't recognize that they're in it. Like you said, people don't know what they don't know. You just don't. So, Lisa, you have been outstanding. I thank you so, so much for joining me today. Please share the best way for our viewers to find you.
So you can email me at Lisa at Illuminations Consulting. You can look at my website at Illuminations Consulting. I also engage on LinkedIn, Alignable, Facebook, and also YouTube. And that's under Lisa Heintzelman or Illuminations Consulting. And so you can be able to find me at those places. You can always call me at 717-571-4644. And you can plan a time to chat with me on my calendar, which is available on my website as well.
Excellent. I love it. And I will be sure to include all of those links, minus your phone number, on the show notes page, just for your sake.
I
So
understand. Yes.
I will definitely include all of the links to the show notes page. So I look forward to chatting with you again in the future and having you as part of our community. I so enjoyed this conversation, Lisa. Thank you again for joining me today.
I want to thank you for being a great host. And,
Oh,
this has I've been in different interviews and shows and podcasts and opportunities. And what makes it is the host and the person that you're
oh,
talking with as you're doing that. I celebrate the focus of your show and the kinds of questions that you're asking and the kinds of topics that you're bringing up that again provide the opportunity to inspire someone to launch and start their entrepreneurial journey or to be motivated and inspired to continue it and to share their story to then inspire somebody else as well. So I want to big time thank you.
Aw, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate that. Like I said, a woman after my own heart. I so enjoyed chatting today, Lisa. You're outstanding. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.